Hello, welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm making an Atlantic beach pie. Oh my goodness, y'all. This is so good. If you've had it before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, let me just tell you, it's a cross between a key lime pie and a lemon pie, but there's a few differences, and one of them is this isn't made with a graham cracker crust. This is made with saltine crackers, and y'all, it is so good. There's just something about these saltine crackers that just make this pie extraordinary. Now, I'm starting with a half of a cup of melted butter, and I melted this butter in the microwave, and I did it right in my dish. That way I don't have to dirty up another one. Now the recipe calls for 1.5 sleeves of saltine crackers. Now I could drag out my food processor, but if you've watched my videos, you know I am not a fan of washing dishes. So I am making it in my handy dandy Ziploc bag. And I'm just gonna drop these right in, and I'm gonna crush as I go. There we go. One down and about a half of a sleeve of another. So I love clothespins. They come in handy for so many different things. Now, just gonna squeeze the air out of this bag. Got my rolling pin, and I'm going old school today. There we go. Done. Hey, I like doing that a lot better than washing my food processor. Not fun. Now, I'm adding a 1/4 cup of light Karo syrup. This is going to add a little bit of sweetness, and it's also going to help the pie or the saltine crackers to bind together. And I'll show you a little trick. If you'll spray whatever you're measuring your Karo syrup in, it'll come out a lot easier, and it'll be easier to wash. Measure this. Now, just going to get that right out, and look how easy that comes out versus trying to coax it, and there's hardly any left. Great trick. Now I'm going to stir all this together, make sure that butter is incorporated all throughout and covers all of these crackers. And by the way, I'm using, I think, a 10-inch pie dish. Now the recipe calls for a 9-inch, but I don't have one. So I'm using my 10-inch, and hopefully that'll be just fine. There we go. Now I'm taking just a half cup measuring cup, and I'm going to push this crust down. This is just an easy way to pack it, and it makes it a little bit more even than using your fingers, at least for the bottom. And I'm just going to turn this as I go. I remember the first time I ever had this. It was in South Carolina, in a little town called Palmetto Bluff. And that was the most fun place. And I had this pie at the Montage. And y'all, if you have the chance to go there and eat, you've got to do it. They partner with Southern Living in some way, and that was some of the best food I've ever had in my life. Oh my goodness. All high-end country Southern food. They had fried chicken, a low country boil, and they served this pie. Now, it's not the prettiest in the world, but I know it's going to be good. My oven is preheated to 350 degrees, and this is going in for about 15 minutes. I want it to get nice and golden brown. Now let's talk about the filling for this Atlantic beach pie. I told you it was similar to a key lime pie, but we're using regular limes and we're also using lemons. Now, if you're not a lime lover or if you're not a lemon lover, you can use one or the other, but I will tell you that together they're the perfect pair. Now, before I juice these lemons, I'm gonna get some of this zest because it's a whole lot more difficult to zest something after you've squeezed the juice out of it. I'm gonna use some of this in our pie filling, and I'm also going to use some of it to garnish it. We're gonna make a whipped cream topping for this pie, and I wanna use some of this zest. Look at all that lime zest. Yum. Now for the lemon. Y'all, this lemon looks about like an orange. Now for the lemon. Look how much zest came off of that lemon. My goodness, that was quite a lemon. Now, I'm gonna set this aside. Now the recipe calls for 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. This is a 14-ounce can. And now for the eggs. We're using 4 egg yolks in this recipe. And I'm just gonna separate these eggs. And to do that, I'll crack the egg and toss it back and forth into the shell. It's easier to do this if your eggs are cold. For some reason or another, the egg white just stays a little bit stiffer and it's easier to do. Now I'm gonna stir these egg yolks in. I'll whisk it all together in just a minute. And next comes the juice. And I'm just gonna give this a quick little roll. You know, this is a great big lemon, but I can just tell there's not gonna be that much juice in it. I'm gonna slice these in half. Oh yeah, the lime is a lot softer. And I am going to use the juice of 1 lemon. Goodness. My goodness. This lemon does not want to give up the fight, but I'm determined I am going to get the juice out of this lemon. Too bad my husband isn't home. He could have definitely helped on that one. You know what? I've got a couple of seeds in there. I'll get rid of those. Don't want those in my pie. And much easier on the lime. Much, much easier. There we go. Now, I am going to whisk this, get this nice and blended. Now, the acid in this citrus is gonna cook the egg yolk. Just funny how that works. But we're still gonna cook this for just a short little time. Now I'm gonna add my zest, and I'm leaving this for the garnish. Come on off there. I don't want any of that to go to waste. I worked hard to get that zest. Now I'm gonna stir this, give it a nice little whisk. And now I want to taste it. I want to make sure that there is enough of that citrus flavor. Oh my goodness, that is perfect. I love the freshness of the lemon and the lime. If you like a little bit more tart, then add just a little bit more juice or more zest. The zest is a great way to get flavor without making the pie too wet. You definitely want it to set up when it cooks. Now let's see about that crust. Look at this. It's exactly what you want to see. Just that nice golden brown color. And now I'm pouring my lemon and lime mixture right in that hot crust. Oh my goodness. I can tell you right now, this is gonna be some kind of good. Now this is going back in the oven for about 8 minutes. In the oven it goes. I'm gonna get this cleaned up and we're gonna work on that whipped topping. Y'all, look at this pie. It's perfect. Now, oh, it's hot too. You just want to make sure that when you take it from the oven, that when you give it a little jiggle, it don't wiggle. You want it to be nice and set and firm, and see how there's just little bubbles around the side. That's perfect. It doesn't take long when you pour this filling into a hot pie crust. Now I'm going to set this aside and let it cool down. Now let's talk about the topping. If you don't want to make fresh whipped cream, then use Cool Whip or Dream Whip, whatever it is that you like. But I will say that the fresh whipped cream on this pie is delicious. Now I have a cup of heavy whipping cream, and to this I'm adding 1/2 cup of confectioner's sugar. If you like it on the sweeter side, then add more, and vice versa if you don't like it on the sweeter side. And I'm also adding maybe just 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Now I'm using clear vanilla because I want to keep that nice white color. But your regular vanilla works just great. Now I'm going to mix this at high speed until nice soft peaks form. There we go. I think this is going to be perfect. Now let me just taste it, make sure that it is sweet enough. Y'all, that is so good. Now I'm going to let this hang out in the refrigerator until my pie cools completely off, which is going to take maybe 30 minutes to an hour, possibly longer on this hot summer day. You definitely don't want to put your whipped cream, Cool Whip, or anything else on a hot pie. If you do, then it is going to melt and be a disaster. So I'll see you when that cools off. Well, the pie has cooled down and I let it sit in the refrigerator for just a little bit. I want to make sure that this whipped topping is going to stay nice and firm and not turn into a big wet mess. Yum. Okay, now for the lemon zest that I saved. My dad absolutely loves key lime pie, and I'm not sure if he's ever had this. Dad, have you ever had Atlantic Beach pie? I know if you haven't, you would absolutely love this. This should sit in the refrigerator for, I would say, a good couple of hours to get it chilled all the way through. But I'm not going to make you wait that long. Get a good sharp knife. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see how we did. Oh goodness, y'all, we did good. really, really good. You know, the flavor just keeps coming. You taste the salty of the saltine crackers, and then you start getting the tartness and the sweetness with the whipped cream, and it's the perfect combination. It hits all the flavor points, and it does it well. You've got to try this. It's so good. You're a blessing to me. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. I'm so thankful for you. Have a fantastic day. Will you press that like button? Share it with your friends? And I'll see you next time.